Good morning, people. Good morning. It is Wednesday, midweek here. Hope everyone's doing well. Wednesday, June 26th. So we're wrapping up the month this week. By the end of the week, right, next week is going to be a new month, and it's going to be a very, very short week with July 4th, right, Independence Day in the States. Now, there are a few things to talk about, right? Making headlines is RIVN, right, the EV company. It's had a massive giga rally here on the overnight based on some news. And I've seen over Twitter there have been some stipulations that there might be some insider trading going on. Someone was buying out of the money calls, like weekly calls, at about 12 cents worth. They're going to be worth a lot realistically today. So let's take in some of this news on Rivian, right? Realistically, the EV sector and Rivian has seen some jolts, right? The company would form a joint venture with Volkswagen. The initial and planned investment by VW of $5 billion would create next-gen electrical architecture and best-in-class software technology. So that will give the EV maker a path to positive cash flows and meaningful scale, and help fund operations through the production ramp of R2 in Illinois and mid-size platform in Georgia. So since the earliest days of Rivian, we have been focused on developing highly differentiated technologies, and it's exciting that one of the world's largest and most respected automotive companies has recognized this. CEO RJ Scaringe, butchered that, said in a statement, and this partnership brings Rivian software and zonal electronics platform to a broader market through Volkswagen Group. Global reach and scale. So Rivian jumped a lot, right? It's up about 35%, but I think at its peak was up about like 50% here pre-market, or I guess post-market yesterday, pre-market, whatever, blah, blah, blah. It's sitting around like just above $16 right now. And it's well below the $78 IPO pricing from 2021, and its all-time high was $172. So this will help the firm significantly, but it does not change the fact that the company faces real challenges moving forward. So the pullback by major automotive manufacturers from aggressive EV strategies has increased speculation that partnerships and collaborations may become more common. This would mark a reversal from prior plans to copy Tesla through massive upfront proprietary investment in supply chain and unique manufacturing capabilities, ground-up software development, and in-house battery sourcing and downstream infrastructure. So it also comes amid slower than expected adoption of EVs and the increasing competition from China, right, in terms of pricing and sales. So with that, right, we've seen this massive upside move. We'll see how this kind of pans out. Not that I have traded Rivian anytime in the recent past, if you will, but making fairly massive headlines along with NVDA, impossible to freaking kill. This thing bounced super aggressively yesterday, and if you're trading NASDAQ, you want to open this NVIDIA chart to see where NVIDIA is headed and what NVIDIA is doing on the day, because yesterday, just the constant bid in NVIDIA, very, very difficult to be opposed that in the NASDAQ futures. So there was seemingly a rotation out of tech. I don't necessarily think it is complete and we just start pumping back into highs just yet. But we can't count out the mega cap tech names just yet, right? With staying powers steaming from the AI enthusiasm and accompanying corporate profits following that steep sell-off in terms of correction territory on NVIDIA, it popped 7% just yesterday, and it was up a bit more pre-market. It's pulling back now along with the rest of the market that's getting a larger downside push on this overnight session. We moved above the $3 trillion cap. I'm not sure where it's at right now on NVIDIA. And we saw that these three companies, right, NVIDIA, Apple, and Microsoft, are now racing towards that $4 trillion market cap, with a lot of people taking a look at NVIDIA and saying, oh, in the next XYZ years, this thing's going to be trading at a $10 trillion market cap, which is, we'll see about that. But right now, there was a little pop, and we'll see how that kind of completes on the day session in itself. So in terms of other news, there's not too much to add right now other than a broader sell-off here pre-market. This equity market is getting beat up pretty significantly right now. We had a strong rally on the overnight session, And what you're seeing right now is just a pretty cataclysmic drop of 30 points here on the S&P 500. NASDAQ tagged about 20,070. It's down about like 150, 160 points or so from those highs on this overnight session, with just consecutive, continuous selling in these prices. Now, are we going to peak a new low here on the week and on the session? I'm not 100% sure about that, but I think that we are close to a temporary bottom. If that was the peak and we start selling off from here, fine, but that will have to congregate under the weekly lows. So, like I said, I'm not like 100% convinced that this is just going to be a massive sell-off, but we're not far from that conviction realistically. With the S&P 500, the way I see things, right, big tech is still fairly strong. NASDAQ is in a lot stronger of a position, very far away, well not very, but fairly far away from its weekly lows. The S&P 500 is now breaking through distributions to the downside, and realistically, the way that this goes, if we actually break through these weekly lows and we start trading under that 55.08, there's one more temporary bounce, but other than that, right, we could start accepting distributions to the downside. The way I see this, right, there is a salvageable bid if we start bidding back above this 55, 25, 28 region on the S&P 500, which could very well happen on the RTH today. Remember, tomorrow we have final GDP numbers pre-market and the PCE numbers pre-market on Friday, the Fed's favorite inflation gauge. Realistically, it's just very hard for me to be that convinced on the long side as this thing continues to tumble pre-market. And there's going to be a very, very big battleground that shapes up at this 35 area on the S&P 500 futures. You can see multiple imbalances over the last several days, especially on the overnight. Large creation of delta here and from yesterday's close. So what we're going to be watching is, can they pass above these areas to clean up this whole downside move and project some kind of pop to the upside swing. Things are looking fairly bearish right now. It seems like we're in a sell to rally territory, but I don't want to be overconfident as we've dropped very significantly, and most likely we'll see some kind of positive push off the open in terms of profit taking and some stops, and then right, if there's a real sell-off, it'll most likely come from that 35 on the S&P 500 futures. So, excuse me, with that, hope everyone's ready for the day. We're already starting off with some impressive overnight movement. Let's hope that this momentum and movement and volume continues throughout the RTH, so we're not bored out of our skulls in watching a range like yesterday on the S&P. So let's open up our live trader room. I'll see you guys in there. Remember, check out community.tradeproacademy.com, and we'll do this again tomorrow and to wrap up the week. So I'll see you guys there. Happy trading. Keep diligent. And we'll do this again tomorrow. Thanks, Ian. I just saw that comment. Appreciate you, brother.